Hello, hi everyone. Do give us a bit more time. I think there's a few people joining us shortly, so just give us a while more. Thank you. Right, hi everyone. Good evening. Thanks so much for coming and joining us for today's session. We are expecting quite a few other people, so we will just proceed ahead first while the rest of them join us for this session. So thanks again. Thanks once again for joining us for today. Um, this will be today's agenda. EVP Kesuke's is held up in his Lombard meeting, so he'll be joining us shortly. I will give a quick introduction and key information of CYE. This is a good opportunity for us to just recap on the key timeline that we need to follow in order to meet 21st May submission deadline. Thereafter, Elise, our 2024 judge for ASPAC CYE, will be giving us a sharing on pitching 101. Thereafter, Nicholas and Rico, both winner and first runner of 2023 ASPAC CYE, will actually share a bit more about their perspective of how CYE has transformed their business. And then we have Senator Nabil and Mocha from JCM Bangladesh and Philippines sharing on the national CYE program and best practice. All right, so thanks once again for joining for today's session. Without further ado, just to give a quick introduction for those who is not sure of what CYE is about, as we are expecting some guests as well. So CYE is basically a pitching competition where we really, for JCI, as part of our pillar for business entrepreneurship, we really want to foster innovation, creative, and entrepreneurial spirit amongst our members. And today's CYE is actually divided into two segment. One will be at the ASPAC area conference level, and the first two winners will actually proceed on to World Congress, when the grand finale for CYE will be held. So competition process will be as follows. First, there'll be application process. Thereafter, there'll be a competition, and then there'll be acceleration, whereby the first winner, the winner of ASPAC CYE will receive 5,000, while global winner will receive 10,000. In addition, HQ will also be looking to see how we're able to support this startup. Key eligibility, just to remind everyone, this is open to both GCL members and non-members. So for those organizing chairperson from various countries, do remind that we are welcoming everyone from we do welcome everyone for all walks of life, as long as they meet the requirements of between 18 to 40, they are business active, and they must have a strong business plan. Key information, as mentioned, application is on English. Please go to JCI creativeyoungentrepreneur.com to submit the application. The detailed application process has already been shared in WhatsApp group, so please take a look at that. Do submit a 1-minute pitch video, as well as your profile picture as well. I will not really go through this submission process. Just want to share on the timeline. I think this is very, very important. The deadline for submission is 21st of May 2024. Thereafter, the judges, we have 5 judges, which I'll be sharing over the next few days via social media. We will be choosing the top 10. And by 30th of May, we will announce who is the top 10 finalists who will actually enter into the preliminary round. Preliminary round will be held on day 1 of ASPAC. Thereafter, we will choose the top 6 finalists, and the top 6 finalists will go into the finals, which will be on day 2. And lastly, we'll announce the winners on the day 3 of ASPAC. The first prize, we have increased the first prize from 2,500 to 5,000, as well as the finals at grand finale. The final prize will be 10,000. Overall timeline will be as follows. Do take note of this timeline. As I mentioned, you need to submit your application by 21st of May. If there is any questions, please feel free to ask your national organization, or do ask me. I'm happy to share what we can do to help you in your application as well. There is no limit on the number of applications from each country. We do welcome people to submit, because we are really looking to have a diverse submission from all around Asia and Pacific. All right, so without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker for today. And that will be our first judge for CYE. So Elise. Elise founded the Asia Startup Network in 2020, a vibrant non-profit community of 3,000 entrepreneurs and investors and partners. Through ASN impactful program and events organized by passionate volunteers, ASN actually facilitates very invaluable connection knowledge sharing and support, enabling aspiring entrepreneurs to accelerate their growth. Elise currently leads the communication and community at Vertex Venture Southeast Asia and India, one of the oldest and most established early-stage venture capital firm. Prior to joining Vertex, she was the VP for Investor Relations and Partnership at Longhash Ventures, a global blockchain fund. All right, so without further ado, let's put our hand together to welcome Elise. Elise will be sharing on Pitching 101. We'll definitely, over to you, Elise.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Let me know when you can see the screen well.
Yeah, I can. Yep. Fundraising 101. Yep.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So thanks, Alvin, for the introduction. So currently I'm with Vertex Ventures. Before that, I was actually specializing more in helping startups to raise their funding. Because of that, I have a network of seed stage and Series A stage investors across Asia, Europe, and US. I do a lot of coaching in terms of helping entrepreneurs to raise their first million. So just now, Alvin also mentioned about, I also started the Asia Startup Network, which Alvin is a volunteer as well. So this is something a social enterprise that we set up. Yeah, so we started in 2020. And just some background, yeah, so our logo is like a tree in the heart, in the shape of a heart, because we stand for giving hope. That's why we started with Mentor for Hope in 2020. Over the years, we set up a lot of new initiatives, and this year we launched a podcast. So if you're interested to learn more about entrepreneurship, feel free to check out our Rising Up podcast. We have interviewed people like Steve Mahuish, who is the co-founder of Property Guru, and Azwan as well in our first episode. We are launching more to come. We are 100% run by volunteers, including Alvin. Our network span across 3,000 across Southeast Asia, including 1,000 entrepreneurs and 2,000 plus partners and investors. We organize lots of events frequently to engage and to connect founders to context and knowledge. We also raise donation through our ticket sales, our program as well. We raised about 180,000 over the last 4 years. We have many partners across our events. Yeah, so these are some of the events that we did last year. So this is the Angels Arena where there was pitching to angels. Our flagship events is on mental wellness. So this is our flagship event in 2023 about healing and thriving. And then in 2022, we also had a large in real life event after lots of virtual meetups and programs. Yeah, so this was in 2021. So we raised the most donation via our virtual roundtable led by various prominent like founders and investors. Yeah, so this is some background. I'm sorry, there's so many slides because we really enjoy supporting entrepreneurs. So we wanted to share more about it. Yeah, and I guess all of you are here to learn more about, how do you, if you were to start a company or you're already running a business, then what do investors look for and how do you increase your odds of fundraising? Yeah, so I'm just going to cover the part about the pitch first and then the methodology. So a lot is what I used to cover when I was, before I joined Vertex, helping entrepreneurs to raise their first million. Yeah, so I think I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is something that you can find online, while you Google, right? So what do investors look for in a pitch? But what I want to highlight here might be a bit contrarian to what you read online because this is based on real life experience and having a lot of entrepreneurs providing that data point and feedback. Yeah, so I think most of the time people will share about maybe the market or the product or the solution or the problem first. But what I see that is most effective actually is to talk about who you are. because the key part about selling to investors, right, is to promote trust, is to build that trust, right? So in building trust is about how do you appear credible? Why are you the person to build this? So most of this background slide is always at the back in most of the pitch deck. I would actually recommend you to put it in front, introducing yourself, your background, and your team's one, because you're establishing trust from the beginning. And then, of course, you can go on to talk about your problem, your solution. And I think one thing that people don't talk about much as well is why now? Why is this the best time to launch this? So nowadays there's a lot of solution about generative AI. And obviously, if you were to launch something that is in the space or using that technology, you do kind of get a leg up in a sense, right? Yeah, because what you're doing, you're addressing the why now. This is the best time to do a Gen AI product for it. That's one of the thing that people observe, because the eyeballs is there. And then secondly, is always about the cost of deploying certain technology. And then thirdly is also the cost of delivering your solution to the market. Yeah, so one thing to talk about is really about why now. Why is it that it's the best time to start this business, to run this business? And obviously, market size. Market size, people usually have they do like more top-down kind of approach. I would say that always prepare a slide on bottoms up as well, because market size is the place where investor will easily discount you. Because if you give something like a really big number and then you expect the investor to buy it, so the investor will be able to kind of see through you, whether you have lots of practice pitching to investor before. Yeah, because if you do, then you would have presented the market size in a more convincing way. And oftentimes, I'll hear people talking about how you would give a really big number and then you say that, okay, I want to capture 1% in the first year, and it's such a small number, I would advocate against that, because the part is not about getting to the number. The part is about how. What is your go-to market? Like, why are you confident of getting to this number? What are your partners? Who is already in your network? So it's more like intellectual exercise rather than a number that you pluck from the sky and then telling the investor that this is realistic to get to. Yeah, so I think this part is something to take note of. And then, of course, if you can differentiate your business, or you have some secret sauce, whether it's IP, whether it is certain supply chain advantage that you have, which is a disadvantage to others. These are things to talk about. Financial projections as well, and other elements that you think are important. And I think the thing to here, right, in the business world, is not about having a complete set of slides and making sure that the investor hear every slide you talk about, because this is not school. School is about hitting all the bullet points. It's about meeting all the education objective. But in real life, it's not like that. So the key part is also understanding, practicing EQ, because sometimes less is more. More is not more. Yeah. So the key part about EQ is making sure the investor is interested, being able to read the face gestures, whether the investor is bored or interested, right? So if the person is bored, then of course you have to switch things up, you have to ask questions, if the investor interested, obviously try to answer the investor's burning question first. Yeah, because while somebody has a question in their mind, it's really difficult to listen to what you have to say. So always address what is in the person's mind. Yeah, but as you practice, of course, you will learn. So I talk about the pitch, that part, but I think it will be really useful to also talk about the 5 Ws and 1 H, the why, what, when, and all that about fundraising, which I think, which is something that I developed over the years, and I feel that it'd be useful. Let me just check my message. Okay. Yeah, so feel free to leave questions in the message box along the way. I will try to attend to your question so that it's more interactive this way. Yeah. So people would also ask, when should I raise money? So the point that I have here, is not really an answer. Is actually thinking and planning backwards, because the truth of raising money is that it will not come in until at least 6 months later. And in today's climate, because there's lots of competition. There are also VCs who have already invested most of their money because of the bull run in like 2022. So the timeline may extend. And then people also need to think about how much runway do you raise for? Because you don't want to keep raising every year, because that is very strenuous. And then for CEO, it's impossible to focus on your business if you were to raise too often. So most of the time, people will raise around 18 months. And then for seed round, people will also wonder, how much money should I give away? So there is some kind of an average, but of course you can always aim for the lower end. So dilution meaning is how much you give away. So that can range from 15%, 20%, all the way to like 30. And then if you are raising a round where there is a lead, note that the lead is called a lead when the person put in 30% to 100% of the round. Yeah. So, but having said that, most people would think that when you run a startup, you must raise from the VC. But the truth is, you don't need to. And then I think whether you raise from VC or not is really it depends on the lifestyle you want to have. Because once you have a VC, especially a VC on a cap table, it's a very rigorous process. You need to do a lot of reporting, you need to be meeting milestone. And VC also have that maximum 10 years fund life where they need to exit your company, hopefully at a higher valuation by then. So depending on when the VC invests in you as well, right? So if they invest in you in the first year of the fund, then that's great. You have 9 years. But if they invest in you like in the third year, which is usually the last year of a fund, last kind of investing year of a fund, then you will only have 7 years to kind of make sure that you deliver the to expectations. So that can be very stressful. So when I do fundraising, I also want to highlight that there are people who bootstrap and they have done well. Yeah. So for example, companies like GoPro, they actually went straight to IPO. There's like GitHub, and GitHub today is so important in the tech world. There's TechCrunch as well. A lot of us cannot imagine not having TechCrunch, and I'm sure TechCrunch has inspired a lot of tech blogs across the world. There are so many like MailChimp and so on. So if you can create a business where you can be profitable after, let's say, the first year, and then that you don't want to live a lifestyle where you have to be scaling to like 100 markets in 5 years, and you don't want a business where investors are asking you for reports all the time. So bootstrap is one option. And besides that, depending on where you come from, in Singapore, there are countries like Singapore, Malaysia. I'm sure there are lots of grants that you should leverage. Yeah, even when you expand overseas, there are grants as well that you can look at. Yeah, so we kind of covered the, hold on. When, okay, sorry. We covered the when, okay, and then the bootstrapping. So I also want to talk about who. Yeah, so who can you raise from if you decide to raise? Okay, most people will talk about VCs, but that's not the only option. So you can also raise from family offices. So in a lot of markets outside of Singapore, there are lots of family offices that will give you usually your first check. They may not, I put here like sophisticated, but may not be. Okay, but they are normally less say rigorous in the way and also in chasing entrepreneurs. So it could be a good point, right? And then depending on which stage you are raising from, you could be also raising from angel investors who are basically individuals. Yeah, and if you're raising angel round, besides looking for money, it is highly recommended that you look for people with the right industry connection, because that will really help you get to the next stage. And in thinking about, what kind of investors, right? Really think about investors who can add value. As I mentioned, not just money. Do they have they invested in companies that would be able to support you for your business? Do they know LPs, limited partners, in the industry that you are in? Do they have limited partners as well in their fund? And then do they have presence in markets or countries that you want to expand into? Because once they invest in your company, they are incentivized to support you, right? So if they are connected, then that's really helpful. They should also help you raise the next round. So, you can always ask this question as if you're interviewing your investors, because the thing is, you want to find the right one. And then, do they have strong endorsement from their portfolio company? Because right now the ecosystem is more mature. They are like good and bad actors. So be aware of bad actors. Do you feel comfortable working with them? I think that's actually very important. At Vertex, we always talk about the investor founders fit. So it's not just about the money, because you are working with the person for a long time, at least for 5-10 years. And then depending on your individual preference, do you like somebody hands-on? Or do you prefer somebody hands-off? So that's something to consider. Any other helpful services? Yeah. So here I mentioned about checking with the SG Founders community, because under Asia Startup Network, we have a few channels. So one is the Slack, which we started off being called as SG Founders. Yeah, so I'll share more about that later. Yeah, so just now I mentioned about angel investor, VCs, family office, but for you, just to let you know, you can also raise from corporate investors, crowdfunding syndicates, even growth stage and PE funds. But obviously, corporate investors, that's best at a later stage. At a seed and Series A stage, it's very important that they are maybe they hold less than 10% of your company, because that can have implication when you sell to customers in the same space as a corporate investor. And then crowdfunding, normally these are for earlier stage. And then growth and PE funds, these are later stage. So if anyone reach out to you, I don't think it's a good, it will be a good use of time to meet them. However, you can always, if you are looking to practice, feel free to still meet. Yeah, but they are normally for the later stage, and that is C onwards. So yeah, so I mentioned about the growth stage investors and all that. If you have not fundraised already for your business, then you will be raising seed most of the time. And then raising seed is different from the stages after. So you need to basically target the investors at the right stage. Because what happens is that investors normally have a check size. So check size have to fit what you're raising. For example, for a tax, the minimum check size is 2 million. So you must raise minimally 2 million in order for us to consider you. Then there are people who raising, let's say 10 million, but then if the investor maximum check size is only 2 million, then that means you need like 5 of these investors to fill your round, right? Considering that the person actually wants to be entering at the later stage as well. Yeah, so need to make sure that you know what stage they're investing in. And this is very easy when you just look at their portfolio companies, when did they invest. And then the other consideration that you should have, is where are you going to incorporate your companies? Where are you running your operations? Because normally investors invest into the market where they are based in and they're familiar with. Because for investors, it's always about reducing their risk. So by knowing the market well, investors think that they would reduce that risk. Yeah, so raise from the investors that has the mandate to invest into where you incorporate your company. And then as I mentioned, reputation and support is really important. Yeah, and I also mentioned the VCs tend to invest in home territory. And so some people also ask me, like, if I don't raise from Singapore investors, can I go straight to US? The answer is very seldom people. Oh, hold on for one.
Right over here.
Okay. Yeah. So it's really important to get from local funds because I don't it's very hard to have overseas investor investing in you if they see that local VCs didn't invest in you. And then because we also see that if local VC is not investing, it is like you're not kind of raising from a position of strength because even the local VC don't see the benefit of investing, you see. Yeah, so it's very important to get local VC on the cap table first. And then most of the time, the international VC that you know about, because if you are targeting someone outside of your home territory, those people that you know about are normally better VC in a way that you know them probably through their through news and better branding and all that, right? So when you pitch to international VC, you need to make sure that you have practice enough and then you have traction and so on. Yeah, you'll be competing with the home market startups. Yeah, so another thing that I want to highlight is don't optimize for valuation because the thing is your valuation would always be, you won't be good enough. You'll never be good enough, right? Because you always want a better valuation. You always want to look good, you want to give away less equity. But the truth is, up to a certain time, you have to be realistic about the speed of closing your round and then also prioritizing finding the right investor instead. Yeah. So I need to weigh and balance that. So choose the investors you like and we respect, do your due diligence by talking to people about them. Yeah, optimize for the quality of relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. I think I covered quite a bit. Is there anyone with questions? If you want to reach out to me, I'll be sharing my email later on the slide.
Anyone has any questions? If not, we can just proceed on.
Okay. So
Thank
we just
you.
go ahead. Okay, so the thing is you have to understand what happened after the pitch, right? So I'm going to share about that. So the key part is you always need to secure a lead investor unless you are raising an angel round. Yeah. So optimize for that. Okay. And then fill the rest of the round with follow-on investors, sign the documents, and then you get cash in the bank. Okay. It's like that is the methodology, but it looks simple, but of course, when you practice it, you will be a bit more challenging than this. But this is overall the process. And then what happened is that normally you will be meeting investors and in a way you are practicing. Then what I would recommend is for you to note down their questions to get their feedback. And this is really useful because what happened is you will actually see a pattern, and I will encourage you to analyze the pattern because if all the investors are asking the same question, all giving the same feedback, then there is something that you really need to work on before you go to the next group of investors and give and present. Yeah, because imagine that all these investors are seasoned, right? And then they are telling you these are the gaps. So this is really like the best kind of feedback that you can have. So make sure that you work on them. And with that, you basically get better at answering investor questions. Yeah. So the other question people often ask me is how do I find the investors, right? Because just now I mentioned about looking for VC, looking for family office, looking for angels. So actually it's quite straightforward, but then it's going to take time. So you can go to the VC fund website, the family office website. You can look at LinkedIn, etc. The tech blogs, because basically, if you go to LinkedIn, people will share that they are investor, or you can see that they are board members of a particular startup. And then people working in VCs could also be angel investors. There are also angel syndicates. Try to the rule of thumb, try to shortlist like 40 leads on your list so that and then try to know a lot of things about them, whether they are investing in your stage, whether they are investing in the industry they are in, but of course not in a competitor that's similar to you. And then, do they invest in startups that have synergies within the ecosystem, in the same industry? Because that means that there can be a pitch that you can have if they have invested in a company that has synergy with you. Yeah. And then the last part is really the key takeaway that I hope that you remember if you forget everything else, is that you should always group your leads into ABC. And what I mean by ABC is A is like your most ideal investor. And this investor, if you're waiting for seed, this investor is like a seed stage investor, investing into the market that you're in, into the industry that you're in, have good reputation, and help people to get to the next round, and follow on, for example. Then B is not as ideal, and then C is really it'd be great to speak to them, but even if they pass, is okay. You can basically look at C as warming up. And I think this is very important in terms of pitching to the category, the same tier at one go. So what I mean is, if you start with C first, you must only pitch to C first. Then when you're done with C, then you pitch to the B. Then you pitch to the A. Okay, why I advocate that, right, is because remember if you ever have a job, and you were interviewing for a job, what happened is that you want all your job offer to come in at the same time, right? Because it's always the most challenging to make a decision is when you have one job offer and you're waiting for another job offer which will be given to you in 1 month, right? Because your first job offer will lapse. So in the same way, you want to be pitching to your A list in the same time, because they are more likely to give you the term sheet in the same period, and therefore you are going to bargain from a position of strength, because you may have more than one term sheet, right? So you can ask for better valuation, you can ask for better terms. Yeah, so it's very important to pitch to your category C at the same time, and then later B, and then A. So what is the method of getting the investor, from a cold lead to or just getting any investor to speak to you, right? So always speak to your direct contacts first. If you know any VC, speak to them first, because they are more likely to support you. They are more likely to give you good feedback. And then the next group of investors that you want to get a contacts will be through referral, meaning your friend's friend or your second degree contacts. And lastly, cold email. Yeah, because that is the hardest. So there are a few, things that you can do. For example, follow the LinkedIn pages of the angel investors before you meet the person or you reach out, because that can give a good impression, right? And then you can also ask a referral from your friends. And then if you're reaching out cold, do connect with a personal message. Yeah, so you can, on LinkedIn, you can personalize when you want to connect someone. Just now you mentioned about doing due diligence. Also remember to talk to the founders of the companies that the investor has invested into. You can also talk to founders, in general, ask them how the investor has supported them, and then what kind of questions they ask. And then at the end, you can ask, the founders to refer them to their angels or to the VCs that invested in them. Yeah, so this is the easiest, also quite an easy way to get your investor contacts. Other than that, there are some shortcuts. Of course, we welcome you at our events. So angelstartupnetwork.com is our website. There are also angel syndicates that hold pitching sessions often, like Angel Central, Bansi. You can also reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. My email is elise@angelstartupnetwork.com. Yeah, so there's also a Slack community that I mentioned. We have now over 1,000 people in it. People ask questions all the time. and then you can ask questions as well. Yeah, so just I mentioned about, don't go to your A list first. Always practice. Find out whether they actually ask more questions on the product, the business, or more of the tech due diligence. Yeah. And I would really encourage you to be systematic in tracking your conversation, your feedback, and the questions that the investor give you. So this is the example of a tracker. So, literally you can put down who is the investor you met, what kind of investor type it is, do the investor lead. You can ask the investor that or through your research. What is the email? What were the takeaway from there? Is it your ABC list? And then if always follow up with the investor. If they were to pass, then just put down pass. And whenever you kind of get from gate to gate, which it could be like first meeting, second meeting with the investor, and so on. Then you should track it down. This is really useful later on as well. When you were to raise the second round or you fill half your round, then you can go back and refer to your notes and see if anyone actually would be interested. Because sometimes some investors say that come back to me when you have a lead. Yeah, so noting down is super important. Yeah, so I covered this already. Yeah. So what happened is that if the investor is interested, they will actually keep asking you to meet again and again. I think maybe like 3 or 4 sessions at least. Because what happened is that if you start with analyst, then you get to meet a principal and finally a partner who is going to make a decision. And then how the meeting goes is normally it's a general meeting, get to know you, get to know what you're working on. And if that's interesting, they will ask for your financials or your technical due diligence. And then if you progress well, they will also be calling your customer if you have a customer and other kind of due diligence. Yeah. There are times where VC will, drop off. Make sure that you continue to engage them, send an email, message about, but not to harass them, but more to tell them, hey, I got a new customer or like this happened, because all these are like kind of giving the signs to the VC that you have something promising going, and it's really important to follow up at least for a few months sometimes, because sometimes you can be meeting the VC just at a bad time because the VC is trying to finish a deal. But then by constantly following up, it really shows interest, and then you may get them at the right time eventually. Yeah. So I mentioned about tracking and sending the VC monthly updates as well, and it can be monthly. Yeah. Yeah, it's about hitting the right milestone and communicating to them that you have hit the milestone. So if you really if you have gotten a meeting with the VC for the first time, congrats. And then there are some kind of rule of thumb. So obviously don't be late. Because you want to be presenting a good impression. If it's a physical meeting, I highly recommend you to bring a paper, a one-pager as well, because that is kind of like a calling card, your name card in a way, to help the VC remember you. Yeah. And then do be serious, write down your feedback, even though you can memorize it, because it's just a way of presenting that you are very keen, you are very sincere. Make sure that you give a thank you email to the investor within 24 hours. And then it's a bit like interviewing for a job. Yeah, it's similar. And then if they have any questions, do reply them. And of course, practice all the time. Try to know as much as you can about your industry. Most of the investors are very intellectual. Usually, they want to know a lot more about the industry before they join your meeting. So it's really important to be like a thought leader. So how can you improve your odds? There are books like this. So this book is super old, but it's still really useful in terms of understanding how your VC thinks. And of course, it would be great to speak the terminology, because the thing about promoting trust, about communication is always about, do you speak the same lingo as your investor? So do learn, what, these are like the very basic, like what's the runway, what's the term sheet, milestone, burn rate, and so on. I also highly recommend this. So the thing about communication is very often under how to say underestimated, especially in Asia context. But the thing is, communication is really important in terms of helping the investor understand what you're trying to do, because obviously you have done a lot, you know so much about your business. But the thing is, communicating to someone in a way that the person understands, it takes work. And then most of the time, I would advocate this pyramid principle. So it's very simple. It's like, imagine the pyramid, right? The top of the pyramid is pointed, is the key information. So always talk about, the objective first, right? Then if you have the chance, you get to elaborate more, then you can talk about your supporting argument. And finally, if you have more time or you are asked a further question, then you give more information. Yeah. So this is particularly important when the VC asks you a question. So for example, a VC can ask you, what's your valuation? Okay, so of course, the best way to answer this is, okay, the valuation I'm looking for is 5 million. But the thing is, normally, people may not like to give the valuation first, because it's like, this is the trick of negotiation, right? You don't kind of talk about the valuation first. So then you still need to answer the question. You need to say like, okay, I'm looking for dilution between 20 to 25. So something like this that actually answer the question. And then you can go on to explain why, right? Because because some people, when they want to avoid question, right, they can say things like, oh, valuation is not important to me, blah, 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 or like my competitor valuation is this and that. But this is not a pyramid principle. You're not answering the questions as close to what the investor is asking for. So always, think about answering in this pyramid principle, in this step-by-step manner. And also remember, investor, beside being risk adverse, wanting to minimize the risk, the other thing is always assume investor to be very impatient, because especially in Singapore, like, I think Singaporeans are already very impatient, but I see that most investors are even more impatient. Yeah. So when somebody is impatient, always talk about the answer that they are looking for first. Then if they're looking for more information, they will always ask you. Yeah. So if you forget everything, make sure that you master how to tell a good story, because storytelling is important in terms of communication, in terms of helping the investor remember, and also thinking that you're a thought leader in your field. And then the other thing is creating FOMO, because creating FOMO is the part about how you can help investors to decide more quickly to invest in you. Yeah, and speed up your round. And just like I mentioned about the ABC, right? So this is helpful in terms of creating FOMO, because you are trying to make sure that you have the term sheet in the same period, and then be able to help the VC form the impression that your business is a great business to invest in. There are others who are interested as well, that they should make a decision. Yeah. So some of the misconception I'm going to cover before I end is think how to say, so communication is really important. When you some people may say, okay, now the funds understand my business and therefore I cannot raise. So the thing is, normally when you think like that, is that you may have to work on your communication style, how your pitch looks like. And then yeah, so normally if it's a business that has a sizable market size, is a good solution, you should be able to find investor most of the time. Yeah. And secondly is the product need to be deployed before I can raise any money. I would say that depending on which stage you are raising, angel stage, you may need to have MVP, but you may not need to launch the product in the market yet. Yeah, so it depends on the stage and what your investor is looking for. The other misconception is easier to raise money from international investors rather than local investors. And just now I mentioned that it may not be the case. And then the other one is certain fund, can value add because they say so. So never take things at face value because a VC is as good as a marketer and seller as you do. So always do your due diligence. The other misconception is I should avoid speaking to a fund because they invested in my competitor. Yeah, so I think this one is a bit tricky, right? But the thing is, there's always value in understanding what your competitor is really doing, and also understanding why the fund is interested to speak to you. Obviously, you're not going to, open a data room in the first meeting, telling everything, all your secret sauce to the investor, right? It's still interesting to talk to a fund which are invested in a competitive space because you get insights. You can get a chance to ask questions that you may not be able to get an answer to if you talk to somebody who has not invested in your industry. And then lastly, I'm sad because some angels and investors indicated interest. Yeah. So I think this is one of the greatest misconception because some founders would be like, I will be able to raise this in a month because I have investor who indicated interest. The truth is, until the money is in the bank, like do not take any investor seriously because I've seen so many investor, giving term sheet up to the term sheet stage and then pulling the term sheet. So the startup may already hire people, they may have already committed some of the expenses thinking that the funds will come in. And in the end, running into situation of a much shortened runway. Yeah, so do not think that investor would participate if they say they would. Always it's only confirmed when the money is transferred. Yeah. So do have that kind of like, in Singaporean term is kiasu mentality. Yeah, because based on past experience, better be more cautious. Yeah. So that's all for today. I think I covered quite a bit and I'm sorry if I overwhelm any of you. Feel free to join our community. So this is the link tree of all the links of our social media and so on. And I welcome any more questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Liz. So just a quick introduction. I joined Asia Startup Network last year. Currently I'm working in a startup as well. So I got to know Elise through LinkedIn, and I was like, hey, these community events that they really want to inspire new aspiring entrepreneurs is really something that feels at home for me, which is one reason why I decided to join Asia Startup Network. And this year, actually, when I joined CYE, I really want to bring ASN as an organization to help further this startup learning and communication and sharing across Asia if possible. So thank you once again, Elise. We'll see her during ASPAC in Siem Reap. She'll be there on the 6th and 7th. So please, catch up with her if you want. Speak to her, reach out to her. She's a very, very friendly person, one of the most friendliest person I've known. So please, reach out to her, Elise. Thank you once again, Elise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Next, I have EVP Kisuke-san joining us to give a very short welcome speech. He's in the middle of a board meeting, so thank you so much, EVP, for joining us for today. Over to you, EVP.
Thank you, Vice President Elvin, and good evening, everyone. And thank you, Elise, for your sharing insightful information. We learned a lot from you, and we're looking forward to having you as one of the judges in the CYE. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so grateful to see enthusiastic and passionate young entrepreneurs like you. CYE is notably one of JCI's signature programs these days, and it will provide you with so many development opportunities. Especially CYE focuses on entrepreneurship. This is the the CYE is the suitable place for entrepreneurs and enterprises to expand the business, not only among our areas, but also beyond our area, like including Europe, America, and Africa. It is also a CYE will also help you develop business in terms of like vertical integration. For example, we have JCI members share same spirit and same vision and same direction. So it'll be CYE will be a great opportunity for you to find business partners um, in expanding your business. And when I chaired CYE in Asia Pacific back in 2021, we had the most applicants compared to other areas, and it was the CYE in Asia Pacific was the most competitive in a business competition in a JCI event. So this year we will follow the same trend, and we will have more applicants than other areas. So please be ready because the judges are so smart, and they will ask you questions based on the experiences and the knowledge. So I'm pretty sure that all of you have a solid business plan and ready to go, and we are here to help you bring your business to the next level. So any question you have, please do not hesitate and spread the word among your friends. And we would like to have more. We would like to take a CYE to a next level, as we stated in our initiative. And VP Elvin is so committed, and all the judges are so experienced, and they are more than happy to guide you expand your business. And me myself, I also run a trading company, and attending CYE is on my bucket list. So maybe in the future I will join CYE as a contestant, and maybe we will compete in the near future. But more than anything, I am so grateful to see your business plan and help you expand your business globally. So thank you very much for sparing your time for this orientation. And I already have a feeling that the CYE in Angkor will be the best CYE in the history of JCI. Thank you very much.
Thank you, EVP. As shared by EVP Kesuke-san, EVP Kesuke was the first CYE chairperson back in 2020. Was it 2020?
It was a 2021.
Oh, 2021. Okay.
Hmm.
And he was very, very passionate. I think this is one reason why he's very supportive of CYE. And thank you so much, for taking our time off for your busy schedule. And all the best in your board meeting as well. Thank you. All right. Let's carry on. So next up, we do have Nicholas. So just let me share my screen again. Yep. Next up, we have Nicholas. Nicholas is a director and the CFO of a Parkit platform focused on mobility issues through parking. As a champion for 2023 ASEAN Create at Alibaba Global Startup Challenge, champion for creative young entrepreneur in 2023 ASPAC, and second runner-up during the grand finale at the 2023 World Congress. Nicholas helped aspiring and experienced entrepreneurs bring their pitch decks, business, and ideas to the next level. He also currently serving as 2024 local president for his local organization in Malaysia. Let us put our hand together to welcome Nicholas. Nicholas will be sharing on two parts. First, he'll be sharing about his pitch of his business. That will give all of you some idea of what to expect during the CY competition. Next up, he'll be also sharing a very personal overview of like how CYE has actually transformed his business in 2023. All right, so over to you, Nicholas.
Thanks, Vicky. What's up? So first up, thanks everyone. It's definitely my first time sharing a bit more on the global stage regarding the company. Just checking if everyone can see my screen at the moment.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, fantastic. So allow me to introduce Market. So I believe everyone here has actually Googled for parking before, or at least struggled to find parking until the point where you do not go to certain areas due to it. Or if you are a landlord, you want to earn extra income, maximize the value of the property, we can help you do that as well. So the problem with it is very simple. It is just too difficult. So what we do is provide that convenience to link both the prospective people who need parking spaces to you guys who own parking spaces. It is as simple as that. So why we did it is really much mobility made simple and sustainable. We want to ensure that mobility through parking can be made as simple as possible to ensure sustainability. Imagine a time where there is a city that is built for human walking, not for vehicles and other mobility transports. So current statistics, our growth is fantastic. We are currently in Malaysia and Hong Kong. Back in last year, CYE, I was only in Malaysia. Now, being in Hong Kong, we have created huge value there, and we intend to continue growing both in the Asia Pacific region. So how we make money is pretty simple. We do charge an average 30% on top of our total charges across the board. These are all of our charges per se based on the demand side and the supply side, because what we do is essentially a matching between prospective user and prospective supplier. So regarding our financials, we had 70% growth since Q1 of Q3 till now, and currently we are actually at break even. So if you were to ask me whether we are raising, yes, but we don't need to. We are not in a rush for that. So all that being said and done, we do not forget our ESG commitments, and we ensure that our time saved for looking for car park spaces is helping reduce carbon emissions, as well as hiring individuals to work with us to build up that social background towards exiting poverty within the country. So as well as also helping other MSMEs who are within our community. So our market size is huge, if you were to say, following what Elise mentioned, but this is top down. So what is our bottom up? So we calculated based on car parks available and round it up to us obtaining only 15% of the total market, which is roughly about US 4.8 billion across these 5 countries. Our segment growth, we went from purely working professionals, property agents, and residential parking to now also handling more goers on demand to IoT supplying. So we are now on quite, you can say, the A to Z regarding this whole parking service. So these are projections. Currently, if you look at our actual, we are roughly close to about 1.6 million US. But we are hoping as Hong Kong grows, as well as other expansion into APAC, we will definitely go beyond that. Currently, we are looking at around 1 to 2 million ticket size at roughly 10 to 20% dilution for our fundraising. And of course, competitors-wise, these are our current competitors. We would say we are quite flexible in terms of where we are at. We only raised up to 3A. Now we are raising our first Series A. And hopefully with that amount of monies, we are able to expand across Asia Pac faster and even more aggressively. So like what Elise mentioned just now, the team is actually the soul of the company. Where I am at now is I'm currently handling very much on the back end, so legal aspects and all that. I'm also an ex-PwC consultant, so I did a lot of the back end work and did a lot of consulting. But then again, consulting means you give the solution but do not implement it. So I use that knowledge to implement within our company, and we do together. So these are all my team now, and they are all in Malaysia. Some of them helping us across the board through our expansion in Hong Kong. And with that being said, join us. Do sign up for my app. Do give me feedback. I would appreciate it, because really much we want to make mobility simple and sustainable. And of course, in my hashtag here, parking made easy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. It's very, very, very interesting. And definitely something that very innovative, and yet, as well as mentioned, it's a simple yet very powerful solution that will help to address everyday's drivers issues. Maybe just to share, to everyone, can we just understand how did CYE also help you in your business? Partially because you have went from Aspark as a winner and moving up to the grand finale in Zurich World Congress last year. How did those experiences actually help you?
So I think maybe for context from the application in Aspark all the way to World Congress would be helpful for anyone here. I think I spent about 3 days staring at the questions for CYE in Aspark, because I wanted to really make sure I knew my business plan in and out. It took me quite some time to draft it out, but it was very fruitful, because it definitely helped you focus on what you need to really tackle on to grow the company. And during the pitching session in Aspark, I'm not sure whether the rules will remain the same, but it's like an elevator pitch, definitely. And definitely, I think that really forces you to really think as to what the investors want to know in that 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes pitch, right? After winning Aspark, in between, I was being linked up with many JCI members across Aspark, actually. Some from Australia who were in the parking industry for many years. Particularly for my expansion into Hong Kong, it was very much helpful, because you make friends with the local Hong Kongers, which help you have a softer landing rather than going there blindly, right? It is definitely much easier to do business when you have a friendly party over there who can guide you around, who can tell you local knowledge within the field. And definitely, this experience helped me. Being in Zurich definitely was an eye-opener as well, because you get to link up with, I believe, our brother Darim Jeffrey is here, the winner of the Global CYE in World Congress. He is someone who is very inspiring as well, and a great storyteller. And I definitely learned how to, or at least try to be more expressive in a way that will draw you in to listen to my story and why I do what I do. And yeah, that's I believe what my experience in CYE is. If it's not purely for business, I would say the benefit towards individual development as a leader is fantastic.
Right. Thank you so much, Nicholas. I think those sharing was definitely something that's wonderful. Does anyone has any questions for Nicholas? I mean, from a participation perspective, is any questions they want to ask him? If not, thank you so much, Nicholas. Thanks for coming. I do understand that today you also have a very busy schedule. You have your chapters, GMM, and thank you so much for coming for today's session.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thank Nicholas. Right, over to our next speaker. Next one will be Rico. Rico is a co-founder and chief operation officer of Communal, a financial service company in Indonesia, being recognized as the TEDx Surabaya speaker. Rico was the first runner-up for Creative Entrepreneurs in 2023 ASPAC and second runner-up during the grand finale in World Congress held in Zurich, Switzerland. Rico is actively involved in organizations such as HIPMI in Indonesia, and is currently the National Vice President of JCI Indonesia. So let us all put a hand together to welcome Rico. Rico, over to you.
Okay, thank you, VP Kelvin, and also greetings for Executive Vice President Keisuke in JCI Tokyo, and also friends and JCs for across Asia Pacific. My name is Rico. Let me try to share some of my pitch presentations during ASPAC and also World Congress. Wait a moment. Okay, can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Communal is one of the neural bank pioneers that all of us knows that we in Indonesia and also worldwide, we also need the bank to support our businesses. But as we know that not many countries like Indonesia, Indonesia has very diverse country and we are the fourth largest population in the world. So it will make us the fourth largest economy in the worldwide by 2050. However, the problem in Indonesia, we found out that almost 166 billion US dollar, the financing gap between small medium enterprise, and also a lot of people have difficulty to access for the finance itself. And also 90% of Indonesian people still live in the offline economics. And it's also improved that in sustainable development goals that we need to empower and also for gender equality. So despite of growing the digital economy, we need to make sure that the young people need to come back from the first year cities, come into second and third year cities. As all of us understand that 70% of small medium enterprise locate in second and third tier cities. In GCI, we learned that one of the GCI mission that economic justice can best be won by free men through free enterprise. So that's why economic is really important of law rather than of men. So try to encourage the using of technology with the culture gap in Indonesia, so we can synchronize between lack of data and also culture gap, and we created and collaboration with the conventional bank. The rural bank also put some serve into the local people, some credit loan. So that's why we create some platform that called Communal. It also similar, not as try to compete each other bank, but we try to put all of the bank into one ecosystems. So all of the user can do lending and also can do funding through the platform itself. But we still collaborate with the rural banks, so we can reach out into the third tier cities through many operations and less savvy of technology. However, the common is that goes number 1, to support economic growth, and also number 8, to be sustainable and productive for employments. And the number 10 is try to use the digital technology to reduce any gap among the 23, we dispersed like US dollar 20 million worth of deposit and loans across Indonesia. So this is one of the testimony from our lenders. And also we know that the good team need to have strong support. So that's why we Communal built by 4 peoples. Mostly we are graduated from Singapore and Taiwan, and the difference is quite different. That one is in economic, one is in the IT, one is in accounting, and myself in the operation management and banking. So last year we have 130, but this year we double up the team members into 250. It's also because of CYE and opportunity to be invested by Japanese company and also Junior Chamber International. That's why I can talk and share. VP Alvin, back to you.
Thank you so much. You also briefly, I mean, I also follow the news as well. I do understand that you were invested, recently. Do you contribute, part of this seed round funding, financing, funding, part of because of CYE, that should help you to get this fundraising to be done?
Yeah, actually, we just closed fundraising in this early of years in the January 2024 by conglomerates in Japan called Sumitomo Bank. Yes, and not only from Japan, but we try to engage with Hong Kong investors. So as we know that investors mostly in Asia come from Japan. Most just like Vertex, at least Vertex also has a partner in Indonesia. We've been approached by a lot of venture capitals, but what we learned through JCI, it's like a coincidence that one of our investor also JCI members in Hong Kong. So it's a good thing that doing through the CYE, but we also can make network, and it's easier for us through the JCI. We easily can connect it, and it will be very smooth during the transaction, and also because we build trust. So what I'm trying to say is not being transactional, but we also to deliver just like what in JCI we always learn to be active and proactive and contribute more into the society. Thank you for helping.
Thank you, Rico. Thank you once again. If not, I will take over the sharing. So next up we will have Nabil. Question, Senator Nabil from JCI Bangladesh. He is currently the CYE chairperson from JCI Bangladesh. And I think it's good to have some national organization to share a bit more about what they're doing for CYE within their country and what are the best practices that we can share so that other chairperson can also know what they can actually do in the next few weeks leading up to the deadline as well. So over to you, Senator Nabil. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Please allow me some time to share my screen. And I believe I'm audible. Can anyone confirm that I'm audible and my screen is also visible?
Yep, we can see you.
Audible on screen is also visible.
Yes, thank you so much. So, thank you, Vice President Elvin, for giving the opportunity to share some of our progress or activities from Bangladesh regarding CYE award. So, just to start, giving some brief about my national organization. My national organization, JCI Bangladesh, has started on 1972, just after the independence of our country at 1971. And after that, in the long run, JCI Bangladesh become the largest non-profit organization and also get funding from IMF. 1995, there was some issues, and for that reason, operation temporarily halted. But after 1997, it got restarted, and 1999 officially started with two local organizations. One is from JCI Dhaka East and one is JCI Dhaka West. And luckily I belong from JCI Dhaka West. I was the past president from there. And 2000, JCI Dhaka West sponsored the third local organization, and then the national affiliation also get approval. On 2012, as we all know that Dhaka is the capital of Bangladesh, so JCI Bangladesh expanded outside Dhaka for the first time with JCI Chittagong Cosmopolitan. On 2021, JCI Bangladesh Foundation gets formed, and JCI Bangladesh launches 5 local organizations outside Dhaka. And on 2023, JCI Bangladesh reached 40 plus local organizations in Bangladesh. That's so far, to have a glimpse about this national organization. This is the Dynamic National Governing Board of JCA Bangladesh. Our National President Imran Kadir is leading us on 2024. And here you can see on the right, me, I'm serving as the training commissioner for this year and also coordinating regarding the CYE activities in Bangladesh. So, I mean, the CYE activities is relatively new in Bangladesh, but then again, we have started initially in 2023 in a mega event which is called as Smart Bangladesh Summit Expo and CYE Award, which took place in the mid of last year. And just to share some of the knowledge, our current government has proposed a agenda on 2020 to 2041. Bangladesh will be smart Bangladesh, and this is a government initiated vision, and JCA Bangladesh has aligned with this vision, and we are the first organization in private or public who has conducted these types of big summit alike event in Bangladesh. And the CYU award is actually part of this particular organization. And you all will be happy to know that we have hosted more than 15,000 audience, live audience in this particular event. Just to commence regarding Creative Young Entrepreneurs Award for JCA Bangladesh, which took place last year. There was a grant opportunity from JCA Bangladesh, which is worth of 3.5 lakh plus taka. There was opportunity to expose internationally because the winners or the shortlisted participants is also get to, take place with the competition on ASPEC and the World Congress as well. And also finally, there will be an opportunity to connect the venture capitalist as well. Just to move on, just after the announcement of CYE award form submission, all will be happy to know that we have conducted a roadshow of more than 20 top-ranked universities in Bangladesh just to promote JCA as a whole, and as well as the CYE initiative, Creative Young Entrepreneurs Award initiative across all the youths in Bangladesh, and it has got massive response across all the youths. And as you can see that we have already covered a 360-degree in terms of communication. We did also a press conference covering all the top-notch medias in Bangladesh. And also, remarkably, in the CYE Bangladesh competition, we got more than 250 plus startups as a submission. And I'll say that in history of startup in Bangladesh, it is one of the remarkable submission, I would love to say, and credit goes to the whole JCA Bangladesh team for making it happen. But after getting those shortlisting candidates, this is the judges panel. I am also lucky to be part of this particular panel, and we have shortlisted around 15 top ranked startups. And those are the list. I will not go into the details, but just to share, those are from different backgrounds. It could be from agriculture, maybe electronics, and some startups which is actually called with the yachts, maybe some freelancing platforms as well. So, from those 15, those threes are actually the top three. And just to share their activities, the first who got the winning title, the title winning startup is named as JRC Board. It is named as one of the remarkable person, Jamil Raja Chaudhary, one of our legendary people who is actually communicating with the youths. And it's actually a microcontroller board for the youths who can use it in a very cost effective manner to conduct their electronics and programming related activities. It's actually a startup which not only sells those JRC board, but also empowers or train different youths, community peoples to learn about those AI and 4IR things. Just to move on, this is the first runners up. The title of the organization is LegalX. They're actually providing legal supports online. And the second runners up, they're called as Royal Bengal Shroom. And as you know that in this region of Bangladesh, in Southeast Asia, the mushroom cultivation is not that familiar. So this, but we found that globally there is a huge potentiality. So this, organization tends to work in growing this industry in Bangladesh, and there is also potentiality to expand their vertical in the next level as well globally. So those are the top three, runners up and the winners in our periphery. So what we are exactly, as you can see, those are the trophies and the winners as well. Okay, so I'll share a video as well, which the program already took place. So what we are currently doing, we are actually not opening the registration for all the members of JCI Bangladesh regarding the COA, because as we already nurtured those peoples and we have shortlisted around 15 startups, one of the best startups in Bangladesh in the domain of JCI Bangladesh COE. So what we'll do, we'll give opportunity to those top 15, contenders, so that they can perform very fairly to this COE aspect. And I believe that there will be a potential good result from this particular base. So I'll on the concluding part, I will share some of my CYE award event at a glimpse in a very short video. Just I'm sharing the video. All right, thank you so much. Just to, introduce myself. My name is MD Altamish Nabil. I am actually working in the ICT industry of Bangladesh, as well as I have some, initiative related with social activities as well. And also I'm a passionate author as well. So you guys can also connect me. Probably it will be fun to talk with startups and many other ecosystem. I'm handing over to the Vice President Elvin. Again, thank you to this panel for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Nabil. Thank you once again. Next up, we will have, just give me a minute. We will have a Mocha from GCI Philippines. Similarly, Mocha will be explaining to us, sharing with us how GCI Philippines actually carry out CYE program. So over to you, Mocha. Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and VP Alvin. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me just share my screen, and let me know if you can see it already. Can you see it? May I get a thumbs up if everyone can see it already? Okay, thank you so much. So I'm Mocha. I'm the national chairperson for JCI Philippines for the program JCI CYE. And this year, it's a comeback for JCI Philippines to really observe because we were not able to do bidding for the last 2 years due to some lack of participants. But now we did a national launch in partnership with a startup community in the province where I live, which is the center of Philippines, which is in Cebu. This is an ongoing collaboration with our partners here in Philippines. We are partnered with Dohe Philippines, which is also a venture capitalist, also supporting the startup community in the Philippines, as well as co-working spaces like From Here, and our three organizations all over from the Philippines. Since Philippines is an archipelago, we are also doing a per region or per area cascades and sessions. So that's why we are spreading out my team. You will be also learning about my team earlier. So basically what we did for our national launch, we did a program or like a sample of how it will be happening during a pitch. So here is the sample program that we did. It's a 4 hours max event, and then of course it ended with a community partnership and fellowship as well. So to start with, we just had internal deadlines as well, as we would not want to have a very tiny time for our participants. For internal JCI Philippines submission deadline is on May 12, and we know that the ASPAC deadline or the Asia Pacific deadline will be on May 21. And we are also laying down for all the interested participants that if they will be part of the qualifiers, they will be announced, or the qualification will be by May 29, and then June 1 for the ASPAC and also for the World Congress, as to really build the case that JCI CYE is a global program of JCI and not just for the Philippines or for our NOM. Sharing with you how we did it in JCI Philippines. So with active and dynamic national president, Attorney Makinaleta, we were able to ask the national board to really release a circular for the information of the national membership that there is a CYE program and the Philippines is set on joining it and sending participants. We were also doing the live streaming of this program so that we will have more reach, and as it is a recorded video as well, those participants could also rerun all the activities that happened that day, last April 17. And there are boosted materials as well in the JCI Philippines page to really look for the entrepreneurs that are very suitable for this CYE program. Also, during the program, we were graced by the attendance of our nonetheless national president, and we were very grateful for that. So in-person attendees, there were about 60, since the venue is also limited, and we were trying to really focus on those who are, the attendees are of the mix of future investors for them, future participants for us, and we got 2 presenters who really volunteered, and our current applicants already, plus many inquiries after the launch. And we will be also doing video sharings of what JCI Philippines is doing with CYE. Furthermore, if you could see on your right side of the screen. And then also, we were supported and we were happy that our first ever World Congress winner, Victoria Martinez, is very proactive this time. And she will be also helping us spreading the word about how CYE has been of help to her idea before last 2021. And during that CYE launch, we were also we also had 3 speakers. So the first one is an entrepreneur himself and is a capitalist as well, that is also interested in investing to some of maybe of the same industry as his. He is in the communications industry. And the 2 presenters, the sample the ones who pitched rather that night, were 2 startups called Presenters and Subudok. They are more on technologies. On first is on educational materials aid using Presenter, and then also a collaborative and consolidation of international and local doctor presenters as well. There are free trials who were given to the in attendant in-person attendance as well, so that they can also implement in their businesses, and further they could also book or schedule a one-on-one meeting with presenter as well if they would be interested to start or do use their products. Same with Sugbudok, we had a sample, I think it was a consultation from an outside of the country patient to the in-house doctor Abigail Cruz, who was there during the presentation. So we also spread using the internal QR code for JCI Philippines for our certain Philippines, and we just set our deadline straight here. And then here is my team. So as I said a while ago, since we're in an archipelago, I also had 5 more team that will be helping me to search for the CYE participants. So they are spread all over the Philippines from north to south, and to the islands. That's why this is my team. They are Jorge, Ralph, Anna, Kay, and Jean. They're also there in the call today with me. Thank you so much. And of course, I end with JCI Philippines is really a pro entrepreneur norm, and of course you make a difference by supporting creative young entrepreneurs. So I hope that we will be able to make it to the aspect, and that's all for my sharing for JCI Philippines CYE 2024 program. Thank you so much everyone for listening.
Thank you, Mocha. It was very, very interesting. And great to see all the progress by both JCI Bangladesh and JCI Philippines as well. The last part will be really on Q&A session. Does anyone has any Q&A questions that you want to ask regarding CYE? Just want to assure all of you as well. One of the questions that was asked is regarding can non-members join, and can they join remotely? Yes. I've spoke to Valentina, who is in charge of CYE, and she's actually arranging with COC to make sure that there's a hybrid method that can be carried out during a CYE. So that will actually encourage members and non-JCI members to actually sign up, partially because we still do understand that in the event that they got chosen and selected, it'll be very hard for them from a logistic perspective to book a last minute flight to ASPAC, and this is why we didn't want to deter non-JSM members from signing up as well. And that, thank you so much. Is there any other questions? If not, thank you so much. If you can, let's have a quick photo. Switch on the photo, your camera. We can have a quick photo session together, and we can just end off. Thank you, EVP, for coming back. All right. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more page. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you, everyone. See you all in ASPAC. We should have 1 or 2 more seminars and training. We will have the final 1st June. There will be a final training. But in between, we'll be sharing information. We will need all your help, if it's possible, to share all this information out to everyone. That will really help us to get more participation ongoing for ASPAC CYE. If not, stay safe. I'll see all of you in ASPAC physically. Thank you. Bye.